let's get straight into it. We will start with the Carabao Cup final, Manchester United versus Newcastle at Wembley Stadium. We'll take a look at the betting as we have it on matchbook.com. This is the 90-minute match odds, and you'll see Manchester United available at 2.28, Newcastle 3.45. The draw is available at 3.4. Both teams to score yes is the favourite at 1.82. No is even money at 2.0. The Asian handicap line sees Newcastle get a quarter of a goal head start at 1.97, and the total is 2.5, shaded towards the under. So, Mark, I'll start with you. You're backing unders in this game. Is this purely based on a cup final, Carabao Cup final, big game sort of feel that it's a default selection almost with the unders?
I wouldn't say it's a default, but it's certainly something to bear in mind. Yes, 3 of the last EFL Cup finals have been 0-0 or 1-0. And I do think this will be a very competitive final. Going to have a great atmosphere here because United always generate a good atmosphere when they're away from Old Trafford, and Newcastle have been waiting for a moment like this for a long, long time. So it'll be a very memorable occasion for the Toon Army. I would normally give Man United a slight edge, but there are a couple of kind of caveats that put me off Man United at the prices. The first of which is obvious. Very, very taxing week and a very hectic schedule for Man United recently. So they've obviously played, or will have played, Barcelona twice in the space of a week, and Leicester last weekend when they were put under a lot of first half pressure before coming through. So that fatigue element is or could be key. Newcastle have enjoyed 2 fresh midweeks. And actually, by the time this game kicks off, Man United will have played 7 games in February. Newcastle will have only played 3. That's a lot of football, a lot of difference. And Ten Hag has rotated his team a little bit, but he's always kept a very strong spine. He's highly motivated to win trophies this season. So fully expect Man United to go very strong against Barcelona on Thursday night. Obviously, we don't know the outcome of that, but they are trending in the right direction and have been doing so for quite some time. That is obviously a huge positive. Just 1 defeat in 19 across all competitions. That was the last-minute defeat at Arsenal. Casemiro is back from a domestic suspension. I think Starbits has made a good impact. He's starting to settle into that midfield. Wakehorst in his more withdrawn role has obviously aided the team too. And whatever Ten Hag seems to be doing, they seem to be functioning very, very well, even if it means putting Luke Shaw in at centre half, kind of, which would never have been on anyone's kind of to-do list at the start of the season. So there are a lot of positives for United, but that fatigue element does concern me. And look, Newcastle have been very, very difficult to beat this season. Liverpool, the only team to beat them in the Premier League. And on both occasions, you could say the Magpies were a little bit unfortunate. Newcastle have already gone away to Old Trafford and thwarted United, drew 0-0, gone to the Emirates and drawn 0-0, and also taken a point off Man City at St James's. They get Bruno Guimaraes back. They get probably Joe Willock back. Joe Linton is expected to be fine. So in terms of outfield players, Newcastle won't be far off their best 11. The obvious caveat to backing a Newcastle-based bet is Nick Pope is out, and they're going to be down to Loris Karius, third or fourth choice, really. So, and true too that their attack has been faltering as well recently. They have been creating chances but not converting. They've scored twice or more in only 2 of the last 11 across all competitions, and that's a very big reason behind the fact that they're drawing too many games domestically and are starting to lose their grip on the top 4, or they've fallen out of the top 4. But on the flip side, their clean sheet record is very strong. Their defensive numbers, not just recently but across the whole campaign, and their process when out of possession has been very strong too. So I believe they can be competitive in this match. And if I was going to be pro United, who I think we'd all probably agree are the stronger team, have the better personnel, I think you've got to have the draw on side in some way or form. So backing United minus a quarter, it's 1.93. In the end, I just thought just take under 2.5 goals at 1.85 because you've got the 0-0, the 1-1 on side. You've got the narrow Man United win, as well as an upset victory if Newcastle were to put it off in 90 minutes too. So mentioned the sort of low goal stats in EFL Cup finals. That goes, the same across all competitions, all cup competitions and finals. I want to be with United, of course, but this match takes place less than 72 hours after you play Barcelona. So, it's a very hectic schedule. Newcastle have this match on their mind, resting, recovering, preparing all week. I do think that's an asset for them.
Yeah, Adrian, I think Mark set up that game well. I guess you are leaning towards Newcastle and plus a quarter on the Asian handicap line. That refresh in midfield and even that start of February games, 3 games versus 7, it's huge.
Yeah, I align with pretty much everything that Mark was saying there. But my selection, rather than goals, would be to go with Newcastle plus a quarter of a goal. You know, anything other than a United win in normal time, and you're in the money. So you're covering all the draw options and the possible upset. They haven't. They've lost their last 8 games at Wembley over a long period of time, Newcastle. So. They might feel they're due one, but they might also feel a little bit jinxed there. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, they've not been scoring many goals, Newcastle, but they are so tough to beat. As Mark said, Liverpool the only side to beat them this season. So to get plus a quarter at backable odds, 1.9,
1.97 now, Adrian.
Yeah, 1.97. Yeah, and we're almost even money on a team that's lost twice all season in a cup final where things are traditionally very tight and cagey. Really does appeal to me. Obviously, the Karius factor is there. There's part of me that thinks the narrative could be that he's the hero. It wouldn't be the shock of the century for him to pull out a performance. He's not, he's not exactly match fit, but he's also not a poor keeper. He got to be Liverpool's number one for a reason. And the team, I suspect, will work overtime, doubly hard to protect their goalkeeper, and it could galvanise them to a degree. So, Guimaraes, nice and fresh. Maybe Willock too. I can see this being really competitive. The issue is, can they keep United at bay? They've scored in 22 or 24 Premier League games this season, Manchester United. So it's not going to be easy to keep that clean sheet. But as Mark said, they got one earlier this season at Old Trafford. And having watched them in the flesh at Emirates, grind out that goalless draw, I would back them to do it underneath the arch as well, potentially. So, yeah, my pick is Newcastle on that small handicap. But, yeah, it feels like a low goal game.